Hi you, and welcome back to The Bridge. If it's your first time here, my name is Lindi, and what is this channel all about? The Bridge is about having conversations and discussions that facilitate the transition from high school to university. So we aim to make that transition a bit easier by giving information, shedding glimpses of light into the darkness or the unknown. And we are starting a new, I'm not going to call it a series because that's not what it is, but we're gonna be spending a bit more time talking about finances and finances as a student, finances in student living, finances in university. And once again, like I say, disclaimer, my experiences are not your experiences are not my experiences. I think we all have different experiences, different strengths, different weaknesses, different lives, different circumstances. And so take what will help you, leave what won't. And if you have anything else to add, I think a lot of input could be super valuable in aiding future students, future varsity students. Please write it in the comments down below. You could be helping someone. All right. So I made a list. It's on my phone. So if you see me looking at my phone, it's because I wrote it here. I made a list of things that I did in first year university. So I went from matric straight into varsity, and I made a list of all the mistakes, financial mistakes that I made in university that you don't have to, okay? You can learn it from me. I learned these things through trial and error. I realized these things looking back going, oh, okay, this was the problem, or this is where I went wrong. This is what I shouldn't have done. These are the kind of misconceptions that I had about money, or how money works, or how a budget works, and so forth. I don't know it all. I don't know anything in finance. So once again, take everything I say with a pinch of salt. These are simply my experiences. All right. So let's look at the first mistake that I made. My financial mistake that I made in first year of university was trying to live the same lifestyle that I did at home. So it goes without saying that chances are, if you are a student, your parents are employees, or they're working somewhere, or they have a business, or whatever they do, they have an income, right? So a certain amount that they get each month, or however many times that they get it. And chances are that your allowance will be lower, probably much lower, than whatever amount that they're getting. But the one mistake that I made was trying to eat the same things, live the same way, eat the same brands that I had been eating when we were at home. And the thing is, that can't happen, right? If your family goes out, let's say every Friday, or they go out twice a month, and they go out to certain restaurants, or they eat a certain type of way, that might not be the way that you live in varsity. So if they went out every Friday, you might not be able to go out every Friday. If they went to a certain restaurant, you might not be able to go to that restaurant as a student. But that's what I tried to do, right? I tried to buy the same brands, like even rice. I remember going to Checkers and buying a very specific type of rice. It was I forgot, it was like jasmine basmati rice. And I thought, yeah, like I need to get this rice because we eat basmati rice at home. And I remember another student looking at me and going, okay, why are you getting that? And once my money ran out, I realized, oh, there are certain things that I can save on that I shouldn't be buying. So there will have to be compromises in certain brands and certain things that I just can't get and I just can't afford as a student. The second financial mistake that I made, and I think this will go generally for most people, is I did not realize the value of money. Simply put, I didn't realize that if I buy something for a small amount and I buy it consistently, those amounts all add up. So if I buy a packet of chips for 10 Rand, and if I buy an ice cream for 10 Rand, and if I buy a coffee 3 times a week for 10 Rand, those amounts, it might end up costing me for those miscellaneous, those random things. It might end up costing me 50 rand a week, but then 50 rand a week means 200 rand a month. And if, for example, I get 1,000 rand or 2,000 rand a month, I mean, that's a lot, right? 200 rand is a lot, just comprised of that random coffee or that random packet of chips or anything. And I know it sounds very like heavy, but all I'm trying to say is I didn't realize how quickly things added up. I didn't know that. The third mistake, or the third financial mistake that I made in first year, was budgeting in a way that didn't accommodate unexpected costs. And chances are there will be unexpected costs almost every single month. There's going to be something random that you need to get or that you need to buy. I remember there were months where I had budgeted a certain amount for transport, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's this place that I need to go to, or I made a dentist appointment and now I need to catch an Uber to go there and to come back. And so there's this extra amount that I was like, oh, I didn't foresee this. Or common one, right? Not like medication, where you suddenly, if someone, you suddenly become ill or you catch a cold, and now you need to go to the doctor, and the doctor writes you a prescription, and there's an extra fee on your medical aid, or there's just medication that you need to buy without going to the doctor. You need to buy cough mixture or something like that. Now there's this extra 100 rand because medication isn't cheap. So now there's this extra 100 rand that needs to come from somewhere, but oh, I didn't budget for it because there wasn't an amount that was set aside for unexpected things. I think it's called an emergency fund, right? It's just having a fund to the side for things that you wouldn't anticipate, for maybe extra transport that you didn't think you would need. Maybe you need additional stationery that you didn't think you would need. Suddenly you need an examination pad, or so just something strange. Like, I think even setting aside just a little bit of money every month, maybe 50 rand every month, or 100 rand every month, or 20 rand every month, or 10 rand every month, whatever amount you can just to set aside for an emergency fund, means that if I don't use it in January, then it adds up in February. So if I don't use the 10 rand in January, then I've got 20 rand set aside for an emergency in February. If I don't use it in February, then I've got 30 rand set aside for March. If I don't use it in March, then I've got 40 rand, and so forth and so forth. The fourth financial mistake that I made was thinking or believing that things were a necessity when they weren't actually necessary. In other words, there were a lot of costs that I had, or a lot of things that I thought, oh, I need this, when actually I didn't. Let me put it practically, right, in my life. I remember I was catching Ubers to a lot of places, and Uber adds up super quickly. And what I realized later on in third and fourth year, I realized pretty late, was that, look dude, you don't need to catch an Uber to that place. Is there any way that you can make that activity closer to you? Or maybe you could walk to that activity. Hopefully it's not too far. So there were certain compromisables, things and costs that I could compromise on, or things and costs that I could lower, that I didn't lower because I thought that they were necessary. I thought it was compulsory for me to pay that much. So for me, definitely it was transport, right? Absolutely transport. I would Uber there and back, and I actually found out, hey, look dude, if you had just moved this activity closer to you, like instead of Ubering to, like, let me just give like a small example. You constantly go and buy groceries at the Pick n Pay 10 kilometers away, but there's a Pick n Pay 1 kilometer away, right? And it's a silly example, but okay, so let's say, okay, instead of going to that Pick n Pay, let me just go to this Pick n Pay, and I can walk to this Pick n Pay. Of course, I understand that there are some things that we can't compromise on, for example, maybe quality of food or things like that. But once again, just think about the situation, your own situation. Think about, what could I be saving on that I'm really not saving on? Number 5, my 5th financial mistake that I made in university was not paying attention to my financial weaknesses. And I think every single person has financial weaknesses, and if you can spot it and take a hold of it early enough, then you can do something to fix it or to put a boundary on it. Let me share with you my financial weakness. My financial weakness in varsity was buying gifts. And I mean, because I show love through gifts. And I thought, oh, it's really important if it's someone's birthday, if it's a friend's birthday, or if it's, I don't know, if it's a wedding or an anniversary. Okay, now I'm just going over. But I thought if there was a celebration in someone's life, that it was very important for me to get a good, meaningful, sentimental gift to show this person how much I loved and appreciated them. And I almost thought that if I don't give a gift, then it's just going to seem odd, or maybe it's going to seem like I don't appreciate them, right? And that was my financial weakness, is that I didn't have proper assertive boundaries regarding my giving. And so I realized that pretty late, to say, look, Lindi, you can't be giving this many. Sorry, my battery died, and as you can see, I'm in a completely different outfit because I had to change while waiting for it to charge. But back to the point, as I was saying, so one of my financial weaknesses, one of my financial mistakes was not being aware of my weaknesses. And because of that, I didn't put enough boundaries. And so the question that I would ask you is, what is your financial weakness? What is it that you spend more on than the average typical person? And for me, it was usually an impulse or emotional thing. It was an emotional decision. So again, I'd ask you, where in your money, where in your allowance, where in the money that you get does emotion play a role? And maybe that's where your financial weakness is. For some people, it's eating out, right? Some people just love to eat out, and it's their financial weakness. For other people, it could be, I like doing my nails and I spend a lot on nails, or it could be shoes or sneakers or whatever it is. As a student, recognize it, like be honest about it, because that's the first way that you can start to make boundaries and put limitations in place so that it doesn't chow as much money. So a boundary that I put in place was like, look, I'm not going to buy a birthday gift for every birthday. In fact, what I would do is I would start to like more so make things DIY. So I would make a birthday card, make it pretty, make it really meaningful, write like words that really came from the heart and give it to a friend, just so that that friend knows, like, I really care that it's your birthday. I might not have like the money to buy something extravagant for you, but this is really just a personal gift for you to acknowledge and to celebrate you on this day. The 6th financial mistake that I made in university was not starting to save early enough. Even when I did try to save, I would take out money from my savings at the end of the month, or when I didn't have any more money, and I didn't save enough. And the importance of saving from the get-go, from when you step onto campus, from matric, maybe even from high school or early, you're never too young to start saving. You're never too young to start, dare I say, investing. You're never too young to do those kinds of things, because if you are able to save consistently throughout university, what that means is by the time you step out of university and into the workplace, you can buy a couple of things for yourself. If you're moving into a new flat, you can maybe get yourself a little microwave, or get yourself a vacuum cleaner, or get something that you need, get yourself a mattress with those savings. Or you can continue building that savings account from after school, where you're not starting completely from scratch. Or maybe you can get yourself a little car, or get yourself petrol for a car, or just building up savings already sets you up. It already gives you a tool that you can use. Again, getting a place or a deposit towards something, anything. So I started saving late. I wasn't consistent with my savings, and so that meant that at the end of 4th year I had not, like, I didn't have as great of a savings as I wished that I could have built. And I knew that had I been consistent from the get-go, it would have probably been a bigger bloom. So it's never too late to start, but that's one thing that I wish I had done. I wish I had been more serious about savings early on. And also, when I talk about savings, I don't mean just putting money into an account and just letting it lie there. I mean putting money into account, yes, letting it lie there, but putting money into an account that has good interest. Choose very specifically the type of interest that you want, and where you can actually see a decent return, a decent reward for having put your money there. Don't just let your money lie there and gather dust, right? Put something aside every single month. Put anything aside. It will probably help you and come handy in future. The last financial mistake or piece of advice that I learned is, if you are finding that your current allowance or current pocket money is not enough to do the things that you want to do and you want to do more, then it would be ideal to have an additional stream of income. And this is something that I put my head around too late, to say, Lindy, if you want to do more things, if you want to start a business, if you want to, like, then have an additional income stream. Start a business. Have a lot of varsity students have realized this. They realize this far quicker than I have. A lot of varsity students, maybe if you have a skill of taking photos, then they'll take graduation pictures and edit those, and you know, they hire, they offer their services. Others do hair. Others learn how to do hair in university, and they do that and they learn to plait. Others learn how to do nails in varsity. There are so many things that people learn how to do, and the offices. Some people cook, right? If for example, a student, you know how to cook a certain meal, and they offer and they make a little poster and they send it through all the group chats. They say, hey, look, I make these meals or these snacks, or I sell these types of ice creams, and you know, send me a message by this time because I make deliveries from 5 to 6 every day. People make additional streams of income from small businesses, any business idea. So if you looking at the money that you have, and I know that sometimes it's not easy, I know it's easier said than done, because there are a lot of factors to take into consideration. For example, if you are doing a course that literally is very heavy on time and is very demanding. Let me pick like a random course. If you're doing medicine, or you're doing, let's say, actual sciences, or just something that requires a lot of time, and I think a lot of degrees, all degrees require a lot of time. But I know that for some people it is impractical. But if you are in the position and you'd like to start a business and you'd like to just try things, there is no better time to try something new and to take the risk than during university, where you're able to have clients around you and to sell your things, or offer photography services, or do whatever you're good at doing for a certain price in order to increase your income, therefore building up your emergency fund, building up your savings, building up your investments, building up just your income in general, to have more to buy the things that you want. But yeah, I think that summarizes the financial mistakes that I made, especially during first year, and throughout the years that I made, that I hope you don't. But yeah, if you've got any other financial tips that you'd like to give, or any financial mistakes that you made that I missed, very possible, then please put them in the comments. And I hope you have a wonderful and a blessed and just amazing weekend and week ahead. I just hope that it's a good week for you. May God bless you in everything that you do, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.